Good day to our viewers and welcome to today's Anakazi Banking Online Conversations Series number 4, powered by Stanbic Bank Zambia Limited. I am your host, Chilufya Nyirenda, CEO of Stanbic Insurance Brokers Zambia Limited. Today, we'll be looking at a very interesting topic, insurance during and post-COVID-19. I have a very special guest with me coming from the Pensions and Insurance Authority. She has been with the authority for the past 11 years now, and she has been very instrumental in driving full implementation of the micro insurance industry in Zambia. Policy making has been key, and what is close to her heart is ensuring that we reach out insurance to the bottom of the pyramid, and therefore speaking about micro insurance in Zambia. She's been a focal person at the Pensions Insurance Authority and ensuring that she has full representation also at the National Strategy Planning level. She's been in the committee and was also a chairperson that looked at the working groups in Zambia. So thank you to her for making the time to come through to the program for today. And please join me in welcoming our special guest for today, Miss Namakau. Miss Namakau, welcome to today's session.
Thank you very much, Chilufya, and good day to our viewers.
It is really interesting that we are meeting in this manner today, and having read your bio, I was very intrigued to look at just how far you've come with driving the full implementation of the microinsurance sector in Zambia. That is very nice and well done on ensuring that you are part of the National Strategy Committee for driving and deepening the insurance sector with regards to microinsurance.
Thank you for that humbling profiling. It's really good. I'm humbled, and I really think that really at the center of microinsurance, I think, as we all know, we are touching lives. And really, I think that's what all of us should be looking at. We should be looking at the lives that we're actually helping in terms of risk management solutions that they must actually have. And so this is really what I've always said. Other than the head count of saying we've covered so many lives, we actually need to know that we are actually touching the very existence of human beings and helping actually in their well-being. And I think that's what is very, very satisfying and fulfilling about it.
Exciting, and it's been quite an exciting journey, I must say, to actually see the microinsurance industry in Zambia start to come to life, and we start talking how we reach out to the bottom of the pyramid. And speaking about that, our session for today is focusing on the entrepreneur, the person whose heart you have touched as you develop the strategies that then takes the insurance to the bottom of the pyramid, the small to medium enterprises. That is what we're looking at. And we're also focusing on the woman entrepreneur who is out there and not knowing how to mitigate for their risks, unforeseen and unexpected, that cause the financial shock. And when I look at insurance again, I'm saying insurance is critical to people, because then it allows not only people, it allows them at household level, at business level, to put in measures that then mitigate for these unforeseen and unexpected financial shocks, like we have said. And by doing that, hence the need to preserve the assets and to take up some form of life insurance policies that will help to create the interim income in the event of a difficult time like what we have now. But at the same time, if that is our focus only as insurance practitioners, then we miss the important impact that we can have as development practitioners. How would you try to fit in, and what would be your viewpoint with the statement that I have just made?
It's quite loaded, and I'll try and break it down in the various issues that you have actually sort of ably outlined. To start with, we must know that insurance is just one of the risk management solutions that a person or a business has out there. And so really to a small and medium enterprise, they have various options that they can do. I'm sure you remember, Chilufya, that in the olden days, when somebody wants to stock away money, even before banks actually reached out, the way they've actually gained traction in terms of mobilizing and helping people as far as savings is concerned, people put it under the mattress.
Yeah.
And it was really a saving, and you can't say that, but then it comes with a risk. If the mattress bends down when the house is all
What happens?
bent down, what happens? So really, insurance is one of those mechanisms that somebody can actually look out for. And that's why, as really an insurance sector, we must then say, what value proposition are we bringing to somebody at individual level? Because mind you, in the stages that everybody goes through life, they are faced with different risks. From the time you're born, there's a risk that is actually there. Up to the time you get into adulthood, and now you're planning for your retirement and so on. So at each stage, somebody actually wants to say, what risk am I faced with? How best can I mitigate them? And so insurance is now competing with all the other coping mechanisms that I could choose to actually use. And so insurance has to come with a value proposition to say how best can actually we offer insurance that somebody will be able to say that, rather than actually me putting money in this contemporary so that in case something happens to me, I should fall back on this money. Actually taking out an insurance policy is a great solution that I actually need. And so from a developmental perspective, it's very, very important then that we can demonstrate that there's a value proposition, there's a business case that you actually can put in there, even at individual level, and I can actually see that I'm actually making savings. When I say savings, I mean savings in terms of what solution I've actually, there's an opportunity cost in short for actually taking out insurance as opposed to the other solutions out there.
And it reminds me, as you touched on it, starting off my career as a life sales representative, you go out selling life insurance policies. And I remember being trained to say, that is a piece of paper that you are carrying. And for somebody to buy and see value in it, you need to breathe life in it. And to your point, the different mechanisms that are available, it's not just insurance anymore. We know of the piggy bank. And you and I have done the piggy bank before. You put some money aside. But now we're saying there's various policies on the market that can help to mitigate for those unforeseen risks, both at household level, individual level, as well as a business level. I'm talking about that with what we have experienced now during COVID-19. We've seen businesses, and in Zambia, we've experienced the partial closure with regards some organizations or businesses that have been deemed not to be of essential services during this time. And when I look at that, everyone has been hit, but I think the ones that have been hit the hardest are the small to medium enterprises. What would you say to a viewer right now that runs their little cantemba as their small business? What would you say to them would be the adequate level of capital as well as insurance solutions that they should be putting in place during COVID and post-COVID-19?
Well, basically, when you look at a small enterprise or small and medium enterprise, I would imagine that before you set out, you must have a plan in terms of what you want to achieve over the years. And so really from a capital base, yes, there is what you'd call, in very, very general terms, the seed money that you put in to start up your business. But as your business keeps growing, you obviously know that you have to retain some of those profits in order to expand. If I was probably putting up a little cantemba in a market store, if I've got a vision to say one day I must find myself renting a shop in one of these malls, then it means that you have to keep retaining your profits to actually be able to expand and grow your business so that you can then take in more business and more volume. And true to what you've said, in this time of COVID, yes, everybody has been hit and nobody has been spared. Even the businesses themselves have actually felt it, especially during the, what you'd refer to as a partial lockdown.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that then it means there's a loss of income that somebody has. So insurance would then be the solution that would come in to actually be able to mitigate the risks that you have. So for someone running an enterprise, what are the risks that they are faced? At personal level, there are issues of they could fall sick.
Yeah.
And so probably they need to go to the hospital. So if you have an insurance policy that covers your medical costs at the hospital, that would be very good. You could actually have things like your children, you can't take them out to school. And so if you have a policy
There's
that
homeschooling now.
Yes.
There's homeschooling.
So, even with homeschooling, we've seen that you still have to incur certain costs. So you need money. Maybe you need a policy that can actually take care of that. And then at business level, you obviously have those bills that you've been paying and you need to take care of them. So if you've got a policy that you can take out, that can actually mitigate the particular risks that you have. And so even the viewers that are really listening into this program, I think one of the most important message that we must give them is that every time somebody comes to you to sell a policy, you must understand what are the risks that I'm faced with at personal level and at business level. So don't just accept something like somebody is passing and selling vitumbuas and you're saying, and you're thinking, okay, can I also have some? You should be able to say, first of all, do I really need this?
Exactly.
So you should interrogate the person that's selling that policy. And if you think that it doesn't suit your risk management solutions, you should be able to say, okay, I understand, it looks like a good product, but I'm sorry, I won't buy it. Pretty much like what we do when we are looking at a pair of shoes and all these things that people are always
shopping
doing.
around.
Yes, we always say, okay, this looks like a nice shoe, but really I'm cutting down on my heels. I'm no longer wearing the very high heels. I'm now into the medium heels and that kind of thing. So even people taking out insurance, the message is let them look at their risks. So you have to understand your risks. What am I faced with? Because you can buy a policy that doesn't take care of your risks. Yeah.
And indeed, and that's why I think when I look at as us as industry practitioners, again, the development practitioners, it's really now saying when we're providing the financial solutions like insurance, we need to identify the financial needs of that particular customer that we are speaking to. So to the entrepreneur that is out there, the most common risks that they're faced with would be theft, would be fire, such small things. And when we are talking to the entrepreneurs, then we begin to lay down these and help them to mitigate for the specific risks. And we always say in insurance, again, for life assurance, the certainty of death is there. With regards the general insurance, it's likely, it's probability. It may happen, it may not happen. And that's what makes the two different insurance policies different. Because for life assurance, it is certain that it will happen. It's a matter of time. When is the question? Whereas with the short-term insurance, it may happen, it may not happen, but you still have to mitigate for that risk. So to our viewers that are there and are watching and are listening, the question is, you're an entrepreneur, you're running your own individual business. What are those things that you want to mitigate for? Even during COVID, we know there's a slowdown in business, but there's certain risks that still stand. How best can the customer still mitigate for that? That's nice. And then now when I move on to the guidelines that have come through from the Pensions Insurance Authority, and I may just ask you also to just tell the viewers what or who the Pensions Insurance Authority is. And then you probably might want to just highlight some of the key guidelines that you've given to industry players around how we treat customers during COVID. And my take is, must it just be during COVID, or we must also be seen to be treating customers fairly even post-COVID?
Well, thanks. Yeah, we definitely need to, people need to understand who the PIA is. The Pensions and Insurance Authority, as the name suggests, is a regulator of the pensions and insurance industry in Zambia. And so the viewers may wish to note that within the financial sector or the broader financial sector, we have three regulators. I think the common one that people get to know is the Bank of Zambia. They are the ones that are regulating the banking sector. And then we have the PIA, or the Pensions and Insurance Authority, and we are regulators of those sectors that I've mentioned. We have the Securities and Exchange Commission. So part of our role as PIA, or our mandate, is really to protect the interests of pension scheme members as well as insurance policy holders. And so within our mandate, you can then distill what our functions are. So every insurance company or player that is actually out there has to go through some licensing process, and even the pension schemes, they go through a registration process with the authority. And over and above that, even the practitioners that are in the industry, especially those that are holding the key positions, they have to go through a vetting process, which we call a fit and proper criteria. So at least people can actually have the comfort that they're actually dealing with people that have actually been vetted. And so maybe from what we do, I would like to urge our viewers to know that even as you're taking out an insurance policy, there is somebody out there that's looking after your interests. And so if you want to ask questions around the policies that are there, you don't understand what you need to do, part of what we do to protect policyholders is really consumer education.
Lovely.
Because when you empower somebody with the knowledge, then they know what they actually need to look out for, such that anybody that can actually come, whether it's fly by night people, because in every sector you always have those that will actually do all sorts of unethical issues, and so they can still get in touch with the PIA to just seek clarification, probably pass it through us, because every product, by the way, that's actually out there has to have the approval of the PIA. And so it's important that people can actually come through if they don't understand, but they actually have a right to interrogate the insurer so that they can actually understand what it is that they're actually taking out. And so speaking to the COVID-19 guidelines that we actually issued to industry, indeed they did touch on issues to do with consumer protection or treating customers fairly. And so a bit of some highlights of the guidelines, we are talking to issues like during this COVID time, you'll find that there are challenges maybe in terms of premium remittance. And so some policies would actually outline that you need to remit your premium within this period of time. And so they must give some form of concession. They must communicate, if a customer says, I cannot actually be able to remit this premium because I have lost income, or maybe my employers haven't yet paid me, because, in the private sector, they are dependent on what the employer has probably earned, or if you're a business, probably you've taken out a policy, I don't have sufficient money that I've realized from my business because of this lockdown, so allow me to probably pay you the premium in the coming months. So we're encouraging basically the insurers to actually look at ways in which they can look at the customer and really treat them fairly, as the word actually says. Even in terms of communicating what the covers are. If somebody is taking out a policy, it's important that they actually communicate
what those
terms are, even what is actually covered, because one of the things that I think we talked about earlier on was the aspect of business interruption. So people probably don't even understand what is business interruption. So somebody thinks this policy is one that covers, now that I've lost income, I don't have this, then it covers that. And then they go to the insurance company and find, actually this policy doesn't even cover that.
It doesn't even cover COVID.
Yes, so it's important that they actually understand. And for me, I think a good selling point then for insurance companies as well is that with this feedback that they are getting, even in terms of around COVID, it then means that there are certain risks that they need to bring into the net.
Exactly.
You now need to innovate around saying, rather than treating COVID in certain policies as an exclusion, because by strict definition it's a pandemic, and so probably it's excluded by the standard insurance contract, So, but then you should be able to say, how best can we bring this into the net? How can we actually underwrite around this risk?
Yeah.
So that, we can be able to offer the solution.
That then brings to your point, when we have seen the hardship that has come with the COVID-19, and you cannot emphasize the point that there must exist a sound, stable, and developed insurance market in Zambia. And just the key points that you've touched on right now are so essential, because for every customer, they want to know what they are covered for. And with regards to the business interruption policy, it's one that has been misunderstood. And moving forward, we see some global market players trying to actually say, how can we redefine some terms that come with ambiguity in insurance? If you say damage, what does it mean in the insurance terms? So, and in the literal also, because when you tell me damage, I will take it as in something that I've just. Yet when you look at the insurance context itself, there's some underlying factor that comes with that word of damage. And so what would be your counsel to the industry players, for instance, with regards how we position the insurance terms and conditions to customers? Are we likely to see a change in some of these words that we are using post-COVID?
I think, yes, I see a very good business case for insurers to actually be able to. I mean, there's no sector that is actually, static. I mean, one of the sectors that, the financial sector has always leveraged on in terms of evolution and development is really the banking sector. I mean, you've seen how the banking sector has evolved over the years. There are certain things that we thought couldn't happen, but now we're actually seeing them happening in the banking space. And so even with insurance, yes, we have to get back to the drawing board. First of all, I mean, the lawyers will tell you it's a contract. So what are some of the issues that a contract will actually allow in terms of how we actually then define certain things? So really for me, I think we have to get to a stage where we are demystifying what insurance is. And so certain terms, yes, we need to break them down so that people can actually understand. And even what we have actually issued out to industry as PIA in terms of the guidelines, early this year we issued out what are known as key fact statements. And so these key fact statements are there to ensure that they actually break down this information where it can be understood by a common person out there. Because if you use words utmost good faith, I mean,
what is utmost good faith to the entrepreneur
because,
that is watching
don't
us?
Understand.
They
so
won't
you
understand.
Have to tell them that utmost good faith means that both of us have to be fair with each other.
Exactly.
When I come to you, I must be honest. I must give you full disclosure.
Full disclosure
that this is who
of
I
material
am.
facts.
Yes, this is the risks that I have.
Yeah.
And then even the underwriter themselves, they must also be honest and tell the customer that this is what we're covering and this we are not covering.
Yes.
We don't want surprises. So that's what the key fact statement is really there to actually distill all this technical jargon and ensure that a customer can actually walk away with that sunset information that they actually need to have. From the insurance perspective, the guidelines that I alluded to, I should mention that we also actually then, as a regulator, told the insurers that you must demonstrate your own resilience. Because before you can take on risk yourself, you must be strong enough yourself. You can't carry somebody
have the capacity.
Yes, you can't carry somebody who's 100 kg and you're only 50 kgs.
Interesting.
So we are also telling them they need to have their own resilience, and we're actually saying stress test yourselves in this environment you're in. Exactly. Are you sure you can survive? Can you survive the shocks and that sort of thing? So that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think it goes without saying that even as we go post-COVID-19, and again within the given guidelines, interesting to see that you are asking the industry players to actually adapt to new ways of work. We've been dealing so much on the traditional insurance space. How can we ensure that we onboard a customer seamlessly? How can we be effective in the things that we do? And so from the Pensions Insurance Authority, again, we see that guideline that is coming through on the how we can adapt to digital distribution sales channels. I think COVID has taught us a lot, but to the customer that is there also, they need to understand, to your point, how can I know what I'm covered for? If I'm not clear, who can I go to or who can I speak to in order for them to enlighten my understanding? And that's why we're having a conversation like this one, is so we continuously educate our customers. Insurance is deemed a lot with a lot of jargon, and at some point I think insurance is for the elite, but insurance is for everybody. Insurance is for all, because when it comes to risk mitigating factors, I guess you've touched on it. We all have risks. We all have risks that we need to mitigate. And so to everybody that is watching us today, our viewers, the customers, the public, insurance is for all. It's not for the selected few, because even when it hits you the same way. I always say death is death. And when we talk about funeral cover, when you're paying your last benefit to the customers, it's really now the emotional attachment that comes with it is the same.
Absolutely.
And so we should be seen to actually be dealing with customers at different levels. Thank you for having had come through today. We've had a wonderful session, and I hope to the viewers that is listening in, they will go with one or two key points that they can take into their business, small to medium, even the corporate. They should be able to know that amidst the COVID-19, I should still be able to mitigate for some unforeseen and unexpected risks. Thank you for coming through once again.
It was
an
pleasure.
honor. Welcome. Thank you to all our viewers for tuning in and for staying tuned into today's program. It's been an amazing session that we have just had with the Pensions and Insurance Authority representative, Ms. Namakau Ntini. And thank you to Anakazi Banking for creating a platform such as this that allows for transfer and sharing of information with the customers and the general public. It is always important that when you are doing your financial planning, you tick all the applicable boxes. And it is important, once again, that we continue learning, because that is the only way we will grow at an individual level, household level, as well as a business level. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Tomorrow, gonna be a better day. Tomorrow, it's gonna be a better day.